your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unbox. Today's guest is Mathue, the founder of MV Board Game, an indie publishing company known for its tiny game series, a fun, travel-friendly game designed for board gamers on the go. We'll explore what it's going to take to develop a compact yet engaging board game, the challenge behind productions, distribution, and the ever-changing landscape of tariff and other issues that we all face in the toys and game industry. And thank you again for being on our podcast today, Mathue.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here and talk board games.
Of course. So first of all, will you mind sharing with our audience like your background, like what was the story behind like you starting this company?
Yeah, absolutely. So it wasn't really something I planned 100%. So I lived in Las Vegas for 13 years and I bartended most of that time. I also used to like compete in cocktail competitions. So it was a real passion of mine. Mm-hmm. And one day I decided to make a drinking party educational game and just kind of started to take that day by day and figure out how to do it. Mm-hmm. And that kind of evolved into where I am now. But it was just something I wanted to do with a cousin because I thought it'd be a fun thing. And just kind of just got legs and ran from there.
I see. And what was the first game you developed under the company?
Actually, that's that game right there called Don't Get Drunk. It's the drinking party game. It actually sells on Amazon still. So.
Oh, okay. And what was the process look like for you guys when you're developing your first game?
So I probably made every mistake ever when I made my first game and launched it. But the process, for me, went into it really ignorant, not knowing what it required and what it would take. But I was very determined. And every time I got to a new subject, I would just learn about it for that week. I would take each step of development or what it takes to self-publish a game. And I would focus on that for a week and learn about it. I would go online, search about it, join different Facebook groups and try and ask questions and things like that. But it was very much a lot of like making mistakes and then just pushing through basically.
What are some of the like lesson or mistake that you have learned along the way?
I really learned how important as an indie publisher marketing is. You really have to build a community and really get your game in front of people and be known before you try and go live with it. The first time I went live, I basically didn't do much of that, and it showed in the end results. And but I still made it work from there.
I see. So can you also talk about some of the reason why you have been focusing on like tiny travel friendly games, which is something that your company has been doing?
Yeah, sure. So here's actually some of them. They're these little sideways. There you go. No, upside down.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's two of them. And I have a third and we have a fourth and more in the works. So
I see.
It kind of happened again. I was kind of taking some pitches. A friend of mine showed me Sirens and I fell in love with it. I thought the design was really clever. It had some fun musical elements to it. And I was like, I want to do this. And I know there's smaller games. At the time, I was familiar with like tin box games and button shy games, which are little wallet games. And I was like, I don't want to like exactly copy them either. And I was like, I want to have a little shelf presence. So that's why I decided to go into a box to keep it small, but it would still have a little shelf presence. But From there, I had the one game, and I was like, it's going to be really hard. I launched most of my games through crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And my thought process is like, it's going to be really hard to raise a lot of money or have a campaign that looks really good from the outside, like to have a higher funding goal with just one tiny game, because it's only a $15 game. So you need a lot of backers to make that look like a big number. And not only that, when I'm running my marketing and I'm building out a Kickstarter page or having a video made, those expenses are going to be the same for me, whether I'm doing, like a $15 game or a $50 game. So, the cost of a video is the cost of a video. The cost of my landing page is the cost of my landing page. Now, if I have 3 extra games on that landing page, well, it starts to help with a little bit of that return on investment. So from there, I was like, let me make more. And then that did well. And I was like, I want to keep making small games. And that's where I'm at now. I have 3 new ones launching later this year as well.
Oh, okay, got it. And if you can take one of your bestseller out of all the other ones that you have, which one is the bestseller right now?
Right now, the bestseller is probably Confusing Lands. This one is doing really well. It's really highly rated on, it's doing well on BGG as far as the rankings go for my games. It's actually up for an Origins Award, which is a convention
congratulations.
in June.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a finalist in light strategy game. But it's been really well received. We're actually doing an expansion for it that can turn the game. Right now it's a 1 to 2 player game, but the expansion can turn it into a 1 to 4 player game, or it can be played alone as a 1 to 2 player game. So this one's doing really well for us.
For our audience that was not familiar with the game, can you also give like a 1-minute explanation of how the game?
Yeah, sure. So Confusing Lands, it's a 18 card game. It has a manual that's folded. It's 1 page, which is awesome. So it's quick to learn. Basically, on one side of the card, there's always going to be a cloud, and clouds are how you can score games in this, or how you can score points in this game. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then the other side are icons like trees or mountains or gems. And what's going to happen is throughout the game, you're going to be dealt cards, and you have to use those cards and create a little floating world with them. So you would place a card down, and then when you get a new card, you have to cover at least 1 space. You can cover more, but what you're trying to do is have rivers flow past mountains, or mountains on the edge of your world. So when you're placing these cards down you're trying to make them score the most amount of points based off of the clouds that you've put into your world as well, which are the way that you get scoring opportunities. But typically at conventions, I can teach people and show them around within like a minute and a half, and then they can play it from there on.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And what are some of the feedback you're getting from the retail store and the consumer with your tiny game series so far?
Oh, people love them. Tiny games are doing really well for retailers. They're in like an impulse buy range for a lot of customers, sub $20. Really, once you go over that's $20, it's more of like a decision process, right? So they're great for impulse buys. They're good because they're travel size. And they're quick to play too. So a lot of these games, there's a lot of great games out there, and the more expensive ones are awesome, but they take a while to set up. They take a while to learn. They take a while to actually play or have friends to play with. So it's hard to table some of these games sometimes. With little ones like this that can accommodate a 1-player option, you could play them on your own if you want to, or quickly with somebody else.
I see.
But overall, very good.
And since you have different like ones in the series, does it also play with each other as well, like inside the series?
So all the games are different themes and different mechanisms, meaning they play differently. In one game, it's card drafting, while the other is a spatial awareness kind of puzzle game. They won't play together at all. They're all their own separate experience, but they are all in the same series. They're actually all have like a number on the spine of them there. Collect them all. And like I said, we have 3 more launching later this year, and we actually have 3 more that are signed and need to start development as well. So it's a line that we're going to keep supporting, bringing a new game experience and a new theme with each one.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's a lot of product development that you have. going on right now. So
Keeps me busy.
what has been some of the biggest challenge in manufacturing and distributing those games?
So I think when I first started, manufacturing was like really a big area that I didn't understand. Now, obviously, I've been doing it for a while, so I do. But at first, I worked with kind of like a middle person instead of directly with the manufacturer, which
Yeah.
made things way more expensive for me.
Yes.
But now I work directly with manufacturers. I often meet my manufacturers at conventions that I go to a lot, like Gamma or Gen Con or Origins.
Okay.
So at first that was kind of like an issue. And then what it came down to is communication, price point were important to me when it came to manufacturing. So like if I'm sending somebody a question and then they take 2 to 3 weeks to get back to me, I'm probably not going to work with them. Now, I don't expect a manufacturer to respond to me in a day, like if it's a couple days, that's fine. But I like there to be good communication. Obviously, the price point has to be good as well. And then I also like to just ask, like, hey, what are some ways we could enhance this element of the game through different manufacturing techniques or components you have? So creative ideas as well help me make decisions. Because there's some things, obviously, I understand manufacturing better now, but I'm not an expert in the different materials and opportunities and things that are possible. So I like that as well. With distribution, that's still something that I'm working on quite a bit, actually. So I don't work directly with any distribution centers, like ACD or Alliance or GTS. It's something I'd like to establish, but typically it's hard to get into direct distribution until you have quite a few games in your catalog or you have some like major hits,
True.
So I work with a consolidation partner right now. They're called Quartermaster Direct, and they represent a bunch of small indie publishers at once. And what they'll do is they have vendor accounts with these large distribution centers, so they sell on your behalf essentially, and then they kind of take a piece of it. They also sell directly to some retailers.
I see.
And then I myself am working on establishing direct distribution vendor accounts with some distribution centers. I met with some at Gamma, so that was a great like business to business opportunity to meet people. And then I work directly with some retailers as well. And then outside of that, the biggest way I get the games into people's hands are through conventions, e-commerce, Amazon, and those are like the three big ways. Or crowdfunding. So
Crowdfunding, yes. For Amazon, I believe you are doing that in-house right now, right? With your own team, or how are you?
Yeah, so I run my own Amazon shop. I did recently. He's a friend that has a like Amazon marketing firm, so I just started working with him recently, and he's been kind of explaining the process a little bit to me more and how to run ads, and it's been nice to see how it actually works. And he's been doing a great job. We've been seeing an uptick in the sales, but I do all my own warehousing here, so I'll often send product to Amazon for FBA. Or if we run out of stock of something, like I'll fulfill from my house until we get stock back in at Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon is definitely a tricky platform. There's a lot of like hidden things you need to know for SEO, advertising, listing optimization, and that's something we do on a daily basis with our own team here at Toy Launches as well. It's not an easy platform, and they always change their rules.
Oh, it's always changing. So. It's like now all of a sudden you're in violation of TOS. Wait, what happened? But it's when you want to be an indie publisher, like you really have to become an expert of everything and like wear every hat. Like you've got to figure this stuff out and go through it. Like you could have a full-time job just doing Amazon. There's so much to that platform, but then you also need to learn manufacturing and ocean freight and product development and hiring artists and illustrators and graphic designers. And, so you understand this, but there's a lot to it. You have to wear every hat.
Yeah, it's just like any other business, real business that you run. There's a lot of
Yeah.
different aspects we need to know. And besides Amazon, obviously you mentioned about crowdfunding. And are you also doing any other digital marketing, like influencer marketing or any other marketing?
Yeah. So I will run mostly paid Facebook ads.
Okay.
For me specifically with board games, there's a website called Board Game Geek that
Hmm.
is like a giant database of board games
Hmm.
that the hobbyist side of it is really familiar with. And sometimes, depending on the game, I'll run ads with them or banners. They're really good at that.
Oh,
I
okay.
will also work with content creators. Some
Hmm.
content creators are paid, some are free.
Hmm.
Some are just friend. I've become pretty friendly with a lot of the content creators now, and
Hmm.
they're great people, to work with, and they're doing a lot for the industry to help it grow, which is awesome.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then I do all my own organic posting. So like I have my own
Hmm.
TikTok account and my own Facebook Reels and
Hmm.
YouTube Shorts,
Yeah.
Instagram Reel, all of it. But
Hmm.
I just try and post a lot of like funny board game related content, and then every
Hmm.
now and then, or when I'm launching a new product, then I'll talk a lot more about what I'm doing on the social media
Hmm.
platforms.
I see, I see, I see, I see. We haven't been working directly with Working Geek, so how do their marketing platform usually work? Do you buy for like a placement and you will put
Yeah,
your
so
product on the
Board Game
website?
Geek has a lot of great opportunities in there. They also have two conventions throughout the year,
Hmm.
one in the spring and one in the winter time.
Hmm.
They're in the Dallas area, but
Okay.
it's basically a big database of board games. So if I'm launching a new game, I'll create a profile for it on there. People can see it, they'll reference it, they can
Hmm.
understand and learn about the game there, and they can see videos or images of the game. And content creators can post their stuff there as well.
Hmm.
And there's different forums for if you're buying stuff, selling stuff, have questions
Hmm.
about stuff, working on something. But
Hmm.
it's all board game centralized, and it has
Hmm.
every publisher ever, every designer ever, so you can look things up, learn about different games. And
Hmm.
then they offer some marketing services on their platform specifically
Hmm.
with some of them are like a banner on their website, some of them is an email blast to go out to certain email lists that they have, some is a
Yeah.
crowdfunding spotlight. So there's a
Hmm.
bunch of different options to look
Hmm.
at and consider.
Yeah.
I would say, in my experience with games that are a bit heavier and more, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like more of like a hobby style game, or like heavier, more strategic,
Yeah.
in my experience, have done better there than something
Hmm.
that's a little light, because that's the
Hmm.
audience that's there, is this really dedicated board
Hmm.
game fan base. So
I see, I see, I see. Yeah, compared to more like family central games that right
yeah,
now
I
we're
mean,
talking about.
don't get me wrong, they're all on there, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like the core of that audience is like really diehard board game fanatic fans that just love heavy, kind of really
Mhm.
strategic games. So you have
Yeah.
a mix of everything for sure, but I
Mhm.
think that's the core there. So
I see, I see, I see. And I think convention are also huge for a lot of the board games.
oh
What
yeah.
are some of your favorite convention to attend?
Oh man, my favorite convention is probably Gen Con, which
Gen
is in
Con?
Indianapolis in
Yeah.
August.
Hmm.
It's my favorite because it's the biggest in the US that's board game specific, and also um, I get to vend there and I do really well, which is awesome because more people
Mm,
get to play my game, which is fun and exciting.
yeah.
I also really like PAX Unplugged, which
Mm,
is it's usually in December. This year it's going to be in November, but
mhm,
that's in Philadelphia towards the end of the
mm,
year.
yeah.
And that's a really great convention as well. I'm actually from the East Coast, South Jersey area, so it's nice to
Oh,
get to see
okay.
friends and family when I go back.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm a big fan of Origins as well, which is
Mhm,
in Columbus, Ohio, and
mhm,
that's a convention that Gamma runs. And
mhm,
Gamma is basically like a board game trade group
mhm,
organization. It's like I don't know the best way to explain it, but it's basically a
mhm,
area for everyone in this industry to like have a membership and like help each other. So
yeah.
that's great. And then there's tons of smaller ones that are great. So BGG
Mhm,
Con.
mhm,
I just got back from one called Token Con that was in Oklahoma. It was pretty small, but it was a
Oh,
great
okay.
audience. People were happy. People were playing games. It was really fun.
Mhm.
I've done Dice Towers, which are great. Rage
Oh,
Gun.
Dice Tower
There's
was
so many small
yeah.
ones, you know,
Mhm.
and they're all great. So conventions are work for me, but I also really genuinely enjoy them. Like I do have fun at them too, but I am working.
Mm. I see. Yeah. Well, that's the fun thing
Working.
about being in the toys and game industry, right? You're kind of working, but you're also
Yeah,
having fun at the
yeah.
same
I'm
time,
like, I
which
got to
is
play this game. Oh no,
yeah.
I'm working though.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And the other thing I think you also created is you also create like accessory product besides
Oh
the
yeah.
card games and the book game you have. Can you also talk a little bit about
Um,
the TGC accessory that you created?
yeah, so I have obviously TCGs, trading card games, all that
Hmm.
stuff is really big in the industry and doing really well. And there's
Hmm.
all kinds of adjacent products to CGGs like sleeves and hard plastic holders for them. And
Yeah.
so what we came up with, or it was I have a silent partner who this was a product that he kind of discovered and brought on board, but it's a
Hmm.
TCG accessory where it helps you to know if the centering of your card is good. So this way,
Oh, okay.
before you send it to
Yeah.
get it PSA graded, which costs money,
Mhm.
obviously, you can make
Yeah.
sure the centering of the card is good first. If the centering is not good, then you really shouldn't pay to go send it in to get graded because it's not gonna get a great score. So,
Oh,
but that
okay.
one's been doing well for us. And then
Yeah.
we have a thickness tool as well because
Mhm.
obviously there's different thicknesses to cards, so you need different sleeves for them.
Mhm.
That we also developed for it. So
I see. Yeah, that's definitely a very unique product. How do you come up with that idea?
yeah, that was something that my partner kind of
He came up.
he
Okay.
found that product
Mhm.
and kind of that was his baby for the company basically that he brought on board. So we'll have to get him on the show next time and he can tell you all about it. But for me, I was like, all right, I'll
Mhm.
like let's onboard this product and start selling it. And
Mhm.
we created our Amazon listings, we bring it to conventions, we send it to retailers, so
Mhm.
and it was good.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of your best seller right now too, right?
Yeah, it's definitely it's
Yeah.
definitely a good product. And
Yeah.
TCGs, they're huge. There's so many great ones out there.
Mhm.
I try to avoid them because I don't want to lose all my money and spend all my money on them. So I'm very careful
Yeah.
about getting involved with them
I
often.
see. I see.
But I
Yeah.
do love the Star Wars TCG. I'm guilty of that. So,
I see. Yeah, actually, I have another trading card company on the podcast recently as well,
oh,
talking
nice.
about the industry. It's definitely a whole different, like a mini industry in itself within the toys and game industry, obviously.
Yeah.
That's and developing TGC is very different than developing the board game.
Oh,
There's a lot of
yeah.
like balance and different things you need to consider when you're introducing new cars, and there's a lot of time.
Yeah. As far as making a TCG, I wouldn't even attempt it myself. So more power to
Yeah.
the people that are doing that. That's not in my wheelhouse, unfortunately.
For
I have
sure.
my hand full with all these tiny games over here.
Yeah, well, it's also a lot of work in itself, as we already
Yeah, of
discussed,
course. Yeah.
to really come up with the different ideas. And I know you mentioned about there's a lot of new product you're also working on the pipeline. And
Yeah.
what is next for your company? Any other
So,
additional project you want to share?
yeah, we actually have 5 games launching this year.
Oh, wow, okay.
The
Mhm.
first one is actually actively live on BackerKit right now. It
Oh, okay.
has 2 days left. This is
Okay.
a prototype version of it, but this is Hercules and the 12 Labors. It's
Oh,
actually a
okay.
solo game where you take on the role Hercules and you have to work your way through the 12 Labors. And there's
Mhm.
lore cards, so it's explaining what's happening, but the illustrations are beautiful and everything's gold foil covered. So really excited about that. So I'm starting a solo Greek mythology theme line just because I
Mhm.
love Greek mythology.
Oh, okay.
Um, and that one's doing really well. It has 1,200 backers that have ordered it so far on BackerKit. This is the first time I've done
Okay.
a project on BackerKit, which was very interesting. I'm actually
Yeah.
really like some of the tools that they have on there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But from
Mhm.
there, I'm launching Meerkat Kingdoms. Again, another prototype. This
Oh, wow,
is
that's very different. Okay.
yeah. So this is before I turned into a like tiny game company. This
Yeah.
was signed into development for quite a while. So this will probably be one
Oh,
of our last big
okay.
box games for quite a while.
I see.
But yeah, this is you take on the role of a meerkat, and you have to control the most valuable locations in the Kalahari Desert.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's really
Okay.
interesting because we tried to keep the gameplay as thematic as possible to how meerkats actually operate. And I actually
Yeah.
had the what is it called? The oh, I forget. It's a research center in the Kalahari where they actually
Yeah.
filmed Meerkat Manor. They reached out to me
Oh,
and they were like,
okay. Okay.
I showed them how it worked, and they're like, this is really cool. Um, and then the next three are
Yeah.
these next three small games here.
Oh, okay.
So again, we're just keep continuing to support the line. So
Yeah.
Prowl is by Kristen Mott.
Mhm.
Space Potato is by Eamon Anderson, who released Gnome Hollow, which is on the shelf behind me over there last year with the op. And then Dragon Race is by Chris Kingsnorth and Henry Audubon, who are responsible for some pretty big games in the industry as well. So it's really exciting to get to continue to grow this. But yeah, so it's an ambitious year with 5 game releases happening.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of
And when I say
coordination.
release, I kind of mean like launched on Kickstarter, or some kind of crowdfunding platform. Because Hercules will certainly be here before the end of the year. Meerkat Kingdoms the other 3 will launch probably in the summer, and
I
we'll have to
see.
see what that manufacturing timeline looks like then, though.
I see. I see. I see. For the Kickstarter launch, do you also do the launch in-house, or do you work with company like LaunchBoom to help you out with the marketing effort?
So with Meerkat Kingdoms, I've been working with LaunchBoom for marketing, and obviously they're like a kind of a DIY, do-it-yourself kind of marketing. They're there to help you and guide you, but they have a program you can learn everything and work your way through.
Yes.
And
Yeah. They were on our
I
podcast
loved it.
before as well.
Yeah,
So,
I really, really enjoyed it. I think
mhm.
as an indie publisher who's worked with a few different marketing firms within the board game space, I think LaunchBoom is the best option for somebody to go down because it teaches you how it works, and you can always use that ability moving forward. And like everything I learned from the Meerkat Kingdoms campaign, I applied to the Hercules and 12 Labors campaign because I was learning this last year was when I started working with LaunchBoom, and I'm still going
Yeah.
through the program just because I haven't launched this game yet because we
Oh,
rebranded it and changed some stuff, so there's been delays.
yeah.
But everything I learned in that program, I applied to my new game that has over 1,200 backers right now, so I'm really happy with how well it's doing.
Yeah. I think it's a lifetime skill that you need to kind of
Exactly. So
learning,
LaunchBoom gets 2
refining.
thumbs up from me.
Yeah.
I would recommend it to anyone that needs a marketing firm. You just have to have the time to do it yourself, but it's worth it.
For sure. Yeah, and I have Victor from Lunch Group
Victor's
on our
great.
podcast
Yeah.
before as well. So
I see him at all the
he's
conventions too. I always make sure to say hi to him.
fantastic.
Love
For
Victor.
sure.
He's a great
Yeah.
guy.
So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And as well, kind of wrapping up today's interview here shortly, what advice will you give to someone that's just getting started within the toy and game industry for them to know?
I would say you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. I make mistakes every day still. It's how we grow. It's how we get better. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, don't wait for that perfect timing because it's never perfect, right? So you're going to make
Yeah.
mistakes. Just accept that, and you're going to get better from them. But also, as we kind of touched on, there's a lot you have to learn, and a lot of things you have to become a master of, and a lot of things you have to wear your hat on, learn to wear a hat for. But I would say just take each one day by day. Like, don't look at the top of the mountain. Look at the step in front of you, okay? And take that step, and then the next step, and then the next. Because if you start staring at the top, you might get overwhelmed and quit. So just take things day by day would be like my biggest advice. Day by day, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
For sure. Yeah, that's a wonderful
Don't keep
advice.
making the same mistake. That's not okay. You learn.
Yeah, don't make the same mistake over and over again. Yeah.
Then it's a problem.
100%. So where can people find you online?
So most of my handles will be MV Born Games. I have, and that's ENVY, MV Born Games. I have a TikTok, I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram. Those are the 3 most. Those are the 3 I'm most active on.
Okay, I see. I'll make sure we put that in the show note for you as well.
Thanks.
And for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support. We love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource tips and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toys-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag #ToyBusinessUnbox. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestion for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unbox podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.